Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, we're rolling. It is Wednesday night, Gridiron Grinder time. I'm Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. Just a couple of dudes hanging out, talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. This is episode 193. Is that right? 193. I thought it was not. Let's see. Hang on. Let me double check this. Yeah, I guess it's 193. And so tonight we're going to be doing our super early NFL team record predictions. Obviously, we're going to kick it off with Name That Stadium, do the news from this past week, and have our question of the week. But yeah, with all that being said, how's it going tonight there, James?
It's going pretty good. How's it going with you?
Pretty good, my man. Pretty good. Oh boy, I got someone going nuts on me here. Give me just 1 second. In fact, how about you do a little Name That Stadium for us while I get somebody off of my back?
All right. So as you can tell, I'm traveling around different stadiums, host NFL games, try to tie it into something that talking about that week, something that happened that week, whatever. Just try to tie it into the show. First person guesses right, gets extra special shout out. We'll bookmark it. You can play it over and over for yourself because you don't have any friends and your pets have all left you by now. So nobody likes to play anymore, but hey, it takes like 5 seconds of the show, so we're gonna probably keep going. And and but last week I was in New England. Week before we were doing schedule and talking about the schedule, and week before I picked Pittsburgh because based on what I was seeing, they had of the hardest schedules. Actually, a lot of people ranked it as the hardest. And then I was in New England last week because I thought they had the second hardest schedule.
Yeah,
And
I got you.
and we didn't talk about Pittsburgh the week before, and well, it would have been perfect. So I just went with the team we're gonna for sure talk about New England last week. So
Gotcha. All right, cool, man. Well, that's a little Name That Stadium action, and yeah, just keeping it flowing here. Why don't we move over do our news of the week here, James? And so I don't even remember what day did we do it last week. Was it like a Tuesday? Was it early in the
yeah, last
week or?
last week we did Tuesday because I was taking we were taking a little trip with just me and the wife, leaving the kids with the grandparents to kind of get away first time in like 3 fucking years.
Oh yeah, you had a special anniversary weekend. Congratulations, by the
Yeah.
way.
So we did Tuesday based on your schedule with that.
Yes, yes, I remember now. I remember now. All right, cool. All right, well, yeah. So we got about a week's worth of news then, but it's that time of the off season where it's mostly puff pieces, right? And so how much of it we really want to dig into, I don't know. It's a lot of guys pumping up other guys, a lot of, whatever stuff like that that I don't really care a whole lot about. Although, you could argue that maybe some of that applies for a night like tonight where we're doing super early record predictions because if you hear things like Caleb Williams sucking in practice, maybe that affects how you look at the Bears right now. That's just one example, but it's just not very tangible, right? Because a lot's going to change over the next 2 months. So,
Yeah, like you had the puff pieces, but there was some tangible, real news that happened last week
well,
too.
then give it to me.
Well, first of all, did you hear about Jamarcus Russell?
I did not know.
He was fired from his volunteer coaching job
Oh,
um,
nice.
at his old high school. He was fired and told not that he's not allowed on around the football program or on the school campus anymore.
Oh, was he drinking some of that purple juice or whatever with the players? His
No,
codeine
so
slushies?
so a local business owner wrote a $74,000 check to the school for a donation that and Russell or Jamarcus Russell, yeah, Russell went had like asked him for it and tried to get the donation. but the school apparently never got the donation check.
Uh-oh.
Jamarcus Russell deposited it into a credit union and promptly withdrew $55,000 of it out of the credit union.
Yeah, sounds like that could be fraud,
Yeah, fraud or, I mean,
theft, grand theft,
theft. theft. Uh, Actually, I think it would fall under embezzlement
embezzlement.
because
There you go. Yeah,
because
that's the right word.
yeah. So that's kind of fucked up. And
Yes.
other kind of scary, fucked up news, but luckily everyone's okay. Randall Cobb, um, at his Tennessee home with his family there, there was a fire in the garage late. I want to say it was like late last Thursday night, maybe Wednesday night last week, where the Tesla charger caught fire in the garage,
Oh man. Oof.
and they got the family was able to get out of the house with basically the clothes they were wearing at the time that night. No shoes, nothing. Everything else was in the house. Luckily, the family was able to
Nobody
escape
got hurt though.
harm, but it's that's kind of scary. And I mean, I'm not knocking Tesla, but more and more you hear about their shit catching fire.
Yep. Not a good situation. Well, good that they made it out safely, and he was in the league a long time. I'm sure they'll be okay. But yeah, it sucks for anybody to have to go through that, right?
Yeah, and there was a jury verdict in the or there was a verdict in the Sunday Ticket class action lawsuit against the
Okay.
NFL. The jury awarded 4.7 billion in damages to the residential class and 96 million in damages to the commercial class. The damages, because it's an antitrust suit, the damages, the NFL ultimately could end up being liable for $14.4 billion
Holy cow.
um, on it. The league has said that they're going to obviously they're going to appeal the
Appeal.
verdict, but um, it would cost each team, and I think this is at it doesn't say which level, but um, 32 teams. And if they end up paying the whatever 5 billion in damages, each team would be on the hook for $450 million.
Jeez. Yeah, these guys are rich, but that's gonna hurt.
Mm-hmm. So that happened. Then you had
I saw Jelani Tavai, the old Lions
yes,
linebacker, signed an extension with the Patriots.
yeah, that I was debating whether I was going to go to that one or if I was going to go to the
Yeah, it's
other.
nice to see that, he's proven his worth in the league here, just not with us. Go figure.
Yeah, it has a base value of 15 million and could be worth up to 21 million.
Yeah, and so it's not like a monster deal, but the fact that he's getting good money and he's still playing and still starting, you know, he was a guy that we way overdrafted, did nothing in Detroit, but has carved out a nice little role in New England.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that how it happens with a lot of these guys we way
It's how it
overdraft?
used to happen. Used to happen. Times are changing, my man. Times are changing.
Yeah, and also and the one I was considering going to was Gruden lost his bid for reconsideration in the NFL lawsuit because he's trying to basically find out who had the vengeance against him,
Yeah.
and so he sued for monetary damage and alleging that selective disclosure of the emails and their publication by the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times destroyed his career and scuttled endorsement contracts.
I mean, it was a very fishy kind of thing, right? There was some strange why did it come out against him? You know that there was stuff against other people. Just strange how, especially that it was like so long after the fact. And either way, I mean, it sucks. I was always a big Gruden fan. I don't like all the stuff that we found out that was going on behind the scenes, but yeah, it is weird that like somebody was somehow targeting him specifically, right?
Mm-hmm. So apparently, the reason why the he so whether apparently it was thrown out of court because of the fact that under the NFL Constitution that the the venue for it is arbitration,
Okay.
and I like the quote from the judge because it was like the Constitution. It says, okay, two justices said Gruden understood the NFL Constitution allowed for arbitration to resolve disputes, and said it wasn't clear whether Goodell or a designated third-party arbitrator would hear Gruden's case. And then one of the justices that it was wrote that allowing Goodell to arbitrate a dispute in which he is a named party would be outrageous, and that's true. But anyways, it's kind of Gruden sticking around in the news, and I kind of want
Yeah.
to figure out who had the vengeance against Gruden, but I guess we're not going to ever find that out.
We might one day, you never know. But, yeah, it'll be hard for him to get back in with the way that cancel culture's been for however many years now, right? So,
Yeah,
you know,
like give it like 15 years, and there'll be a 30 for 30 on ESPN
yeah.
about it.
Yeah, something will happen. Yeah, the crazy thing is, like, remember years ago when there was the like the Bounty Gate thing going on with the Saints defensive
Mhm.
coordinator? He ended up coming back into the league, man. I mean, it must have been like right before all the cancel culture stuff started going crazy. Because you think if somebody was doing that now, they would just be like, "Oh no, game over, man."
Well, I think the difference in it is what Gruden
Yeah,
had
cancel
said.
cultures. I mean, Bounty Gates, hurt them, not necessarily, degrade them because of their race or whatever.
Yeah, so I think it's a little bit different, but I mean, still
Still, bad person's bad person.
bad person for bad person. So to Sean Gibson, defensive back who was formerly with the San Francisco 49ers, was suspended 6 games by the NFL for violating the performance enhancing substances policy.
Trying to stay in the game.
Yeah. So
I didn't see anything else, man. I mean, it just was, oh, this is this guy's year, and this guy's the best ever, and this guy's underappreciated, and this and that. And it's like that stuff I don't care to talk about. I mean,
yeah,
you and
that's
I can talk about it just to criticize it, maybe, but
yeah. Like one of the things is we talked about how like there's two things. One, we talked about how it seems evident that the 49ers are going to trade Ayuk, and he's come out and said that even though they're at a stalemate, he would like to stay in San Francisco.
duh, because they're one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah. Um, Found out the reason why Aaron Rodgers skipped the mandatory mini camp.
Because he's a douche, but you know, another ayahuasca trip.
He did take a trip. Um, he went to Egypt,
Okay,
um, and
ancient
apparently,
aliens.
Yeah, apparently it was a pre-planned trip to Egypt, but the thing of it was it was an unexcused absence. So he didn't even tell the Jets that he wasn't going to be there because he, during his recovery from his ACL
ACL.
or
Yeah.
Achilles tear, sorry,
Or
not
yeah,
ACL,
yeah, yeah.
Achilles, from his Achilles, he booked the trip um, to Egypt and I don't know, forgot to tell
Yeah, it seems
the
like he's
Jets
been
that
in the
he was
league
going.
long enough to know, that this time of year you might be practicing.
Yeah, duh. So and then there's the Tom Brady quote. Did you read about this?
I don't think so.
What his regret from his NFL career? And he said, and this is kind of a quote, like there's a dot 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 in there. So when he said what he would change, he said, "quote When I see these young players, I see Patrick Mahomes out there at quarterback running around having fun. I'm like, I used to be like that. What the hell happened to me? I just got too serious."
So he regrets that he went too serious and broke a bunch of records.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um,
But
I can
if
always
you
look
just
back
run
and
around
say,
having fun, then you might not win all those championships.
true, but look at Patrick Mahomes, who's having all that fun and winning championships. So
Yeah, he could just be that rare freak in nature, right? So, you know, the stars have aligned perfectly for him. Look at all the people that work their ass off and take it seriously and never get a championship.
yeah, exactly. So I just think,
You got to do you, Brady. You got to do you.
yeah, it's his seriousness is kind of what made his NFL career. I don't know
Yeah.
if he just watching him in the seriousness, and I don't know if he could have lasted in the NFL and did everything he did if he acted like Patrick Mahomes.
No, he had a competitive nature that, it's what made him so good, and I think a lot of people, it's like, this is not a football thing, right? But, I heard, Conor McGregor, the UFC guy, I heard he's got like some fight maybe coming up. And, people have been talking about like some of the rumors behind the scenes about how basically since he made all this money over all the years and now he's got this cushy lifestyle, it's almost like that competitive edge is just not there with him anymore. He doesn't want to go and get his ass kicked in the ring because he's sitting on like $1 billion and he can
Yeah,
just enjoy his yacht and do his thing. And it's like, so people are kind of like speculating he doesn't work out nearly as hard as he used to because he's just, he's changed. And, Brady was always driven to keep going and work harder and win more. And that's what made him who he is. And so, maybe Mahomes is like some freak that just naturally doesn't have to do all that, but can still make it happen on the field. I don't know. I would bet Mahomes is working his ass off too. He just maybe like on the surface shows like he's having a little more fun doing it.
yeah, which is, I mean, that could be the case. Like while he's out there, he's having like behind the scenes, he's super serious, and while he's out there, he just has fun. And then you have, I believe, are, is it the Giants that are on Hard Knocks this year?
I don't even know. I've seen a lot of stuff about them like breaking down the Brian Burns trade and trying to trade out of the first round or trade down and all sorts of stuff. So they must be doing something with the Giants.
Yeah, it is the Giants. So there's there is the most obvious no shit quote that somebody said. I didn't see the episode, but it was who's the GM? Uh, GM of the
Shown
Giants.
or whatever.
Yeah, he said something along the lines of Patrick Mahomes couldn't win with the team's O line in 2023, so Daniel Jones didn't have much of a chance. It's like no shit, your offensive line sucked.
Yeah.
but also apparently there was a quote about Saquon Barkley, how he could, if he had a team that actually had an offensive line, would put up numbers
Monster
like they
numbers.
monster numbers.
We'll find out this year, won't we?
Yeah, we'll find out this year. But the full quote was he didn't have much of a chance. Let's talk about last year. That's legit. The core guys that were gonna play together played 16 snaps together. Miami, we got three fucking practice squad guys playing for us. You could have Patrick Mahomes and can't fucking win, and he can't fucking win behind that.
So yeah, but I'm going to go back to Saquon's early years, right? And there were a lot of criticisms towards him for dancing around too much in the backfield. And whoever it was, his coach at the time, same thing. Basically saying sometimes you got to just be a hard-nosed runner and get your couple yards. You can't be dancing around waiting for the home run every time. And up until Saquon was in the contract year, I don't really think he went for the hard yards like that very often. I don't know, maybe the year before with Dable, he did kind of show some stuff, and so maybe Dable started to get it out of him. But those first couple seasons, man, I, I don't know. We did not see the power in Saquon Barkley's running game, and he is capable of being a power back.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. All right, so he said part of the Hard Knocks that was about like Daniel Jones not being successful. But he questioned whether Saquon could get 12 million per season with so many pressing needs that elsewhere. While he could get it, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
looking
yeah,
for the
I think
actual quote about Saquon.
you're reading between. Well, I mean, I think you can read between the lines, right? Which is, hey, why would we pay Saquon all that money when we don't have an offensive line for him to be productive anyhow? And that was the argument when they drafted him. Why are you drafting him when you have other higher priority needs and running back is a luxury pick?
Yeah, I'm trying to look for this full full. Okay. So yeah, so Shane had told Mara, "What are we really going to get unless it got down to 7 million? I don't want to offer that because I don't want to be like
Yeah, you're just going
we
to insult him.
disrespected them. There's 31 teams, and it only takes one to maybe be open to doing something. If it doesn't get to that, then hey, we're going to let you hit free agency, find out find out your market, come back and let us know if we can match it. If we can, we'll have those discussions."
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that I mean, my style would be more transparent, right? I would probably be like, hey, look, you put in some time here. We appreciate it. This is what we can do. And it's not as much about what your potential is as it is the way we're building this team and what makes sense for us. If you can get a better offer, let us know. Maybe we can, sharpen our pencil and tweak some things. But, this is just where our heads are at and it's what we're doing.
Yeah, and so like more of the quote was, "We have to upgrade the offensive line, and you're paying Jones 40 million, and it's not to hand the ball off to a $12 million back."
Yeah.
My plan is to address the offensive line at some point here in free agency. We're sitting at 6. There's a chance there's an offensive weapon there. Quote, this is the year for Daniel. Give me a break. Give me a break.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the puff pieces I saw, is that it's like this is the year he's got to prove himself or something. And I'm like, okay, maybe, maybe you make him prove himself before you give him 40 million a year. Like come on. Now, how many chances are you going to give this guy? You're just saying it because you made your bed, now you got to lay in it, and you're just wanting to like buy yourself maybe some more time. But, the fact of the matter is the dude wasn't worth the 40 million a year to begin with, okay? And why would you pay a guy that much money if he didn't prove it?
Yeah, well, also, you kind of at the time when
I
you
get it. They
signed
had a
Jones.
surprise run with Dable in his first year there. Still, you gotta like look at these from a non-biased kind of perspective and say the dude's just not worth the fucking money.
No, no, no. I hear that, but they had that they had that surprise year with Dable, and then so they had both Saquon and Daniel Jones would have been free
Yeah.
agents. So you can only franchise one of them, and then you have to sign the other one to a deal. And they hitched their wagon to Daniel Jones, which was a mistake, and then franchise tag Saquon.
Well, I don't think either of them really should have been there long term, but it just, yeah, I guess after a surprise season, are you really going to tear it down? No, you're going to try to let the good times roll. So I understand what they did. It just,
Yeah.
from my perspective, it was destined to fail.
No, it was destined to fail. I agree with you. I just
Yeah, because I mean, I guess if you make the hard move and you just gut the team coming off of a good year, you're going to look like you're fucking crazy, right? So
Mhm.
obviously, you're going to push your luck. Uh, I don't know. My brain works differently.
Yeah, my brain works a little differently than that too. Like if you have a surprise year, like I understand the logic and kind of trying to push it forward and trying to,
Yeah. Can we
but
squeeze a little more out of it next year?
right, but also on the same token, it's like if you have the surprise year and you give the guy a big contract, he's going to regress. Like, I mean, he have the good year because he was fighting for a contract?
Yep. And now you're going to be hamstrung financially. So, yep.
I think that was about it on the news. I'm glancing and I'm not seeing much else.
All right. Well, that's all I had. So, if you're ready, my man, we can jump in and do our super early team record predictions.
I am ready.
All right. So, I think in past years we've done this by division,
Yes.
right? Because it makes sense probably to do that instead of alphabetical. So we can say, these guys would have won this division and so on and so forth. And so, if that makes sense to you and that's still good with you, we'll start with the AFC East.
I'm
And
down.
you can go first, my man. Who do you have where?
All right, so I have a tie at the top of the AFC East with the Dolphins and the Bills. I
Okay.
have them both going 11-6. I have Miami winning the division on tiebreakers. Then
All
I
right.
have New England, and this was kind of a surprise for me when I did it. I had New England at 9-8,
Oh my gosh, I must be dogging them hard.
and then I had the Jets at 7-10.
All right. So hang on. I'm trying to format my file here so I can get this. So you had Miami and Buffalo at 11
Yeah,
and 6.
Miami and Buffalo 11-6 with Miami winning the tiebreaker.
Okay. You had New England at 9 and 8, and then what did you have the Jets at?
7-10.
Oh man, you think the Jets are okay? All right, I got you.
Well, when I looked at the Jets, I when like I had them starting. Wait, did I two, three, four? Yeah, I don't fucking know. Like I have them starting out
I just think minus week one, they've got a really soft start to the year.
Yeah, I had them. I surprisingly, I had them losing to Tennessee. I had them as
Okay.
starting out 0-2,
Man, if they
and
lose to Tennessee, if they lose to Tennessee and Rodgers is healthy, I will lose my mind, man, because of the hype that is going
hmm
on with the Jets. Oh,
yeah, and well, because I kind of saw Tennessee as a little bit of a trap game for them
okay.
because I have New England starting off.
Oh, winning and yeah, maybe putting a little pressure on them.
Wait a minute, I have an error here.
Correct that error, man. It's not too late.
So I have the Jets. I have New England at 8-9, not 9-8.
8 and 9. That's still good. That's still really good. Okay.
Yeah,
Did any of the other records change or no?
no, I had I had both New England and the Jets winning in week 3
Okay.
when they play each other.
I gotcha. Can't have that.
So I mean, it's still more wins. It's less wins for the Jets than I thought, and more wins for the Patriots than I thought.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I'll tell you where I'm at. And I mean, a couple of our teams are close and then a couple of them are diverged. But I'm going with the Jets to win that division. And I've got them at 12 and 5.
Wow.
Then I've got the Bills and the Dolphins tied at 10 and 7. And I've got New England struggling hard at 2 and 15. And this is one where I kind of was telling you before the show. I know some of these bottom feeder teams in my super early predictions are going to do better than this.
hmm
And I've heard a lot of really positive stuff about Gerard Mayo. But when I look at it and I do my snap quick, okay, can they beat this team? Can they beat that team? I try to remember they've got a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach, and there's a lot of change going on with the Patriots, and so it just kind of doesn't bode well when I'm burning through the schedule. So in reality, I believe they're going to do better than that. Could they get to 8 and 9 like you're predicting? I think it's possible, right? Because sometimes a new head coach has that surprise factor and can
I'm
catch
going to
people
correct
off
that
guard.
again. I did this real quick. I have them at 7-10.
7 and 10. Okay. And
I don't know.
so, I still think they can do better because, we talked about it where, the roster, especially on defense, has talent, right? And so, oh,
What did I do?
oh,
Nope.
you're malfunctioning over there, aren't you?
Oh my gosh! Like I completely fucked up on New England. Holy shit! What the fuck did I do? Oh my god!
All right, I'll give you a minute to fix it.
Give me a minute.
You fix it, and I'll talk about, the rest of my teams here in this division. And so, um, yeah, with the Jets, I mean, I'm not trying to like ride the hype train, right? Because I hate Rodgers, but I do believe Rodgers is still one of the better quarterbacks in the league, even at this age. I believe he's going to come into the season recovered from the Achilles, and he's getting a way better offensive line, a couple of good running backs, some good wide receivers, some good tight ends, and he's going to have a Robert Saleh strong defense. This could be one of the most complete, strong teams that Rodgers has had in all of his career, as long as he can go in and get to business. So if he can come in, keep his head down, kick his ass, and do his job, the Jets can get it done. Um, Historically, it seems like Rodgers kind of has like some sort of meltdown somewhere along the way in the seasons, and he could get hurt at any time, right? He's like really long in the tooth, but until we get that kind of information, I got them taking the division, man. How you looking on your adjustments there? Getting close?
I Okay, my entire thing's fucked up. I fucked up somewhere. So
Should we take a 2 minute timeout? Or do you want me to go to the next division and see if you can get it worked out by then?
no, so I have New England at 4-13. That makes a lot more fucking sense.
4-13. Okay, now you and I are a lot closer.
Yeah, 4-13. So what happened was so I went game by game,
Yeah.
and then so like I was like, okay, this team's gonna win. So I filled that cell in green, and then because I have it like the spread, like starting in Arizona to Washington, and then the schedule across, and fill that in green, and then I tried to fill in the other one, the whoever, but so I had New England. I had three of New England's games with both New England and who they were playing winning.
Okay. Yeah, so that obviously double dips it, messes it up for you. Um, yeah, and I mean, so with the Jets, man, you got them at 7-10, and I mean, it's a different season, a different schedule. I'm just looking at it as they went 7-10 last year, right? And Rodgers basically played like two snaps. But I get it. I get it.
Yeah, and also with them, I kind of want to see um them do it. Like
Yeah.
I
You want them to prove it a little bit first.
exactly. I want them to prove it a little bit first. I want them to prove that they can protect Rodgers.
Yeah.
And if they can protect Rodgers, I could see them going
Oh yeah,
winning
you'd
11,
be you'd
12
be
games.
revising it big time, right?
Yeah. And but like right now, I still don't trust that they can protect Rodgers. And if they can't protect him as Rodgers gets older, I mean, he's not going to be able
Yeah.
to roll off the hits as well as he could in the past.
Yeah, and they got Tyron Smith they brought in from Dallas, right? He's super long in the tooth too. He could get hurt early on and have a problem, and then that offensive line starts getting thin, right? And so yeah,
Hmm.
it could be an issue. It looks good on paper right now, but once they put the pads on and start playing, anything can happen. All right, well, are you good to go to the AFC North?
Yeah, I'm good to go to the AFC North. This one kind of threw me for a fucking loop.
All right. Oh, before we go on, so did Buffalo or Miami get one of your playoff? I mean, obviously one of them won the division, right?
Yeah,
So,
Miami won the division, and Buffalo got the 7 seed.
okay, so let's see. Let me make a note here.
I'm sorry, Buffalo got the 6 seed.
Okay, and then so with Miami, so they won the division. Where were they at?
3.
3. Okay, all right. I'm just trying to keep track here just to compare. So, all right. So with the AFC North, all right. How'd you guys shake out here?
So we've talked about this all off season, and I don't think Cleveland has what it takes.
Yeah.
I have Cleveland at the bottom of the division. I have them 8-9.
Okay.
Then I have Baltimore in third in the division at 11-6.
Solid record, but yeah, third. Okay.
I have Cincinnati at 12-5. I'm assuming Burrow's going to be healthy, and
Yeah.
they've done things to
Yeah. I mean,
protect him.
everything goes to hell in a freaking handbasket if Burrow's not healthy, right? So,
And then this one, I don't know what the fuck I was smoking when I was doing this, but it obviously was some good shit. I have Pittsburgh winning the division at 13-4.
yeah, you were smoking some of that Maui Wowie. Wow.
Um,
I mean, anything could happen. Maybe, Tomlin gets the best out of Russ, like Sean Payton and what's his face couldn't do. And, it all comes together. They are finally building a stronger offensive line, right? So Pittsburgh could be sneaky good, man. Like we talk about it, if you can win in the trenches, you can keep your team in the game. But it does seem like a massive jump, especially, when you're looking at last year. Well, I don't know. Last year they were 10-7, man. So I don't know. Is it that big of a jump? Whew.
so here's where the key in their schedule was, and it's the first 9 games. I have them going 8-9, or
Okay.
winning 8 of the 9 games.
I got them going 7-9 to start. Yeah, see, and I got them faltering down the stretch, but okay, I got you.
And then like I have them basically down the stretch. I have them losing the other 3 games, obviously. Like I'm
Yeah,
not
I
high
mean,
on
I guess
Cleveland.
hypothetically, if they start off that hot, I could see that momentum carrying through. So, all right, on my side here, I've got Baltimore winning this one at 13-4. And I'm not a huge fan of Lamar Jackson, but I also kind of feel like until he gets hurt or something happens, he's good in the regular season. He
Hmm.
always seems to get it done in the regular season. So, uh, in second place here, I've got the Cincinnati Bengals. I've got the Burrow rebound. I've got them actually tied with Baltimore at 13-4, but they lose a tiebreaker. Then I've got Pittsburgh at 9-8, and they just barely got above 500 in my model. This is one where it's kind of like what you're saying, I think, or what we're talking about is if Russ can look like he's at least halfway decent, yeah, they can definitely win 10 plus because they won 10 last year, right?
Hmm.
But I need to see it. And then in the bottom, I've got Cleveland. I'm just not a believer in Deshaun Watson, man. And so I've got him at 7-10. There's concern about Chubb and when he's going to be available. They do have a lights out defense, which should be just as good again this year. And so that can keep them in a lot of games and maybe shake this whole thing up. But until I see Watson return to form, like when he was in Houston, I just can't trust it. And so I had Baltimore with my 3 seed and Cincinnati with my 5 seed.
And what were your um
Records?
no AFC East?
Oh, for the AFC East. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I had the Jets at the 4 seed, and then I had Buffalo at the 7 seed. So they won a tiebreaker over Miami.
Okay. So I had Pittsburgh as the 2 seed, Cincinnati as the 5 seed, and Baltimore as the 7 seed.
Yeah, and that almost kind of reminds me of how I did it last year with the AFC North. I think I had 3 of them going last year. you know,
Hmm.
and I guess 3 of them did go last year. Just not the 3 I thought. All right, off to the South, man. What do you got
All right.
going on there?
For the AFC South, this is bare, barely over 500 for all the teams.
Okay,
I have Houston at 10-7, winning the division.
okay,
I have the Colts at 9-8. I have Tennessee at 8-9,
okay.
and Jacksonville at 7-10.
Man, all right. So yeah, you just don't believe that Trevor Lawrence and company are going to get it done, huh?
And with Trevor Lawrence and company and with Jacksonville, it's too
So what does that make
inconsistent.
Houston your 4 seed?
Yeah, Houston's my 4 seed.
Okay. Um, yeah, so I mean, I would say, yeah, we're fairly different in this one. So I've got Houston. I'm riding the Houston hype train, by the way. I'm riding the Houston hype train. D'Amico Ryans, CJ Stroud. I think they're only going to get better, even though now they got a huge target on their back. I've got them ripping this up, going 13-4, and maybe that's a little too much. Maybe I'm smoking some of your Maui Wowie, but I like what they're doing. I like everything they're doing. I think they can build off of last year and get better. And just looking real quick, last year they went 10-7. This adds a few more on top of it. I think it's possible.
Yeah,
from
and I could see 13-4 because I think the last 4 games of the season, 3 of the 4, I mean, and then the division game, but it's kind of a brutal stretch where they play Miami, at Kansas City, Baltimore,
yeah.
and I have them stumbling into the playoffs at 10-7. I have them going into the playoffs on a 4-game losing streak.
I got you. Yeah, and some regression wouldn't be unheard of when you think about everybody now targeting them. And so I just think they're going to get that much better that they'll be able to stay just a little bit ahead of it. And so then from there, I've got Jacksonville in second place at 9-8, and so it's not like a great year, but they get above 500. Uh, I think at 9-8, Peterson could be at risk of losing his job because I don't have them making the playoffs, and I think
Mm.
that would be a huge problem. Then I've got Indy. This is where it gets a little bit painful for me. I've got Indy at 5-12, and I gotta believe Indy's going to do better. They were 9-8 last year with Gardner Minshew mostly at quarterback. I
Mm-hmm.
think Richardson could be freakishly good this year if he stays healthy. I think my concern is that when I looked at their stats, they were like on the wrong side of the point differential, which I think is very flukish for them winning, 9 games last year. And then I also just don't have faith in their defense. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and man, they're talking a lot about some of these guys are saying they might have one of the stronger defensive lines. I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it. I think that they had a lot of contributors last year, get them like, 8 sacks apiece or whatever. I think the odds of that happening again are unlikely. It's not impossible, but I don't know. I think maybe they beat what I got him at with 5, but I got to see Richardson stay healthy and show me that he can be the guy I think he can be. And then I would totally throw these out and start over. But and then at the bottom, I've got Tennessee at 3-14. That one's tough because, obviously any team only winning 3 games, it's a stretch. You'd think they could squeeze out a couple more. But I think Levis is going to have some growing pains again. And I don't think they're doing him a huge favor with what they've got going on. I mean, the offense, I think, improved. I think the defense has a lot left to be desired. And so, you know, let's see, where was Tennessee at last year? They were at 6-11. This has them regressing. And so, I don't know. New coach, lot changing. I just see it going the other way for a season before it comes back around. And by the way, Houston would be my 2 seed, and I don't have
That's
anybody else going.
yeah. I figured Houston was your 2 seed because we'll get to the
Yeah,
AFC West in
13
a
wins
moment.
is solid. Yeah. All right. So yeah, to the West, man.
All right. So at the top of the division, I have Kansas City, and I hate doing this, but they have a fucking easy ass schedule. I have Kansas City going 15-2.
I'm right there with you. I know it's steep, but
Then I
it is
have
Kansas City.
kind of a surprise with the total wins for these 2 teams. I have the Chargers and the Raiders tied at 7-10.
Okay.
And that kind of surprised me with those 2 teams being tied. I have the Raiders ahead of the Chargers in the rankings because of the tiebreaker. I have them splitting the games that they play, but the Raiders are losing one of their games in against the one more game out of the conference.
Gotcha.
Yeah, one more game out of the conference. Then no, never mind. I have it the other way. I have Chargers losing more out of the conference than the Raiders. So I have the
Okay.
Raiders as the number 3 in the division. Chargers is number 2. Then we get to the Broncos.
Okay.
take a look at the Broncos.
Yes, the Sean Payton collapse and just they don't even let him resign. They just throw him out of the building.
Let's see. I have the Broncos. I'll just tell this little story. I have the Broncos starting 0-6.
Okay.
I have the Broncos starting 1-12.
All right.
And overall, I have them going 2-15.
Well, we're spot on with that one, James. I also have them going 2-15. Yeah.
I don't see anything good with the Broncos right now, and I feel bad because I like Sean Payton,
Yeah.
but I don't see anything good going on with the Broncos. Maybe because so many people are down on them that they will be a surprise this year, but I just can't see it.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like to me, when I look at my bottom feeders, I think this is one that probably has the most surprise potential just because of Sean Payton, right? It's like if he coaches his balls off and catches fire with his quarterback somehow, the whole thing could change here, but it's easy to feel like they're just going to suck dick with how bad they were last year.
Yeah, and I have the Broncos getting the number one overall pick.
Okay. And so the Broncos, I mean, somehow they were fucking 8-9 last year. I just don't see it. Um, I'm sorry, you had Kansas City getting the number one pick, yeah.
No,
Um,
Kansas City getting the number one seed, the Broncos getting the number one
oh,
pick in the
getting the number
draft.
one pick. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I got you now. Yeah, yeah, makes sense. All right, so yeah, I tied you at the top and the bottom. I had Kansas City also at 15-2, which is steep to the high side, but they could pull it off. You never know. They were 11-6 last year. I think they're going to be a much better team this year. It could be like the team from a couple years ago. Anything can happen. And then at the bottom, obviously, I tied you with Denver at 2-15. In the middle, this is where maybe man, things went awry for me is that I have the Chargers basically having instant impact in the Harbaugh era, and I've got them coming out of the gate at 12-5, and that is probably a bit steep. I think it's that I think
That
that
makes
it's
them your sixth seed.
it does make them my six, yeah, and I think
Wow.
that it's I think it's more about Herbert. And I like that they kept Bosa and Khalil Mack on the defense. I think if Harbaugh comes in and establishes that hard-nosed running game and beefs up the defense, I think Herbert can be good regardless of who's there and who's around him. And if that's the case, it makes them probably one of the more special teams right off the get-go. It's asking a lot, but my model has always favored the Chargers. And so
Hmm.
maybe that Harbaugh is like the key to unlock all that potential that they've had these last however many years. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah. My issue with the Chargers, and it's not Herbert. I love Herbert as a quarterback. It's who the fuck is he throwing the ball to? Who the
Yeah.
fuck is he handing the ball off to?
Well, if he's truly one of the greats, it doesn't matter. He'll find people, right? Josh Palmer will light it up. They'll get Quentin Johnston will come out of nowhere now and light it up. I mean, anything can happen. But um, and then in third for the division, this one hurt, but I've got the Raiders at 3-14, and it's tough, man. Like I want to believe in Antonio Pierce and that defense, and I want to believe in either Minshew or O'Connell at quarterback. Um, it just was like when I looked at the teams that they're playing, I thought, who are they going to beat, man? Maybe they get that one over Denver. That I've got Denver at 1-16. It was tough. It was hard for me to find wins for the Raiders, even though I believe they're going to squeeze out a few more.
Yeah, like I had the Raiders with a couple surprise wins in there because the Raiders always do.
You're right.
Always
They
tend
always
to have that.
upset somebody.
like they always up and not always,
And if
but
they're ever going to do
they,
it, this would be the year where they could do it a lot, right? The
yeah,
defensive line is going to be sweet. They've got weapons on offense. I mean, it could happen. I think this is one of those teams where I got to see it to believe it because I don't know, it just doesn't add up on paper right now.
yeah. No, I know. I have the Raiders with an up one of their wins as an upset win over Kansas City because it seems that
Yeah.
happens every year.
Yeah. And so to be fair, my model right now, this is me shooting from the hip on all of this, right? And I think that's how I did it the last couple of years. But when we do our preseason ones, that's where I get nitty gritty and I rate every player on every team.
Hmm.
That's when I could see a team like the Raiders have a big upside move, and maybe I feel more comfortable with them at that point. But right now, and it's a lot of unknown and a lot of how do all those numbers add up, and it's just too soon to tell. So we'll see. You know, when the time comes, we'll shake it up. It's the preseason one right before the season starts that matters the most.
Exactly.
All right, well, that gets us through the AFC. You ready to go to the NFC, my man?
I am
All right,
the
why don't you
NFC
give me the East?
NFC East. I have the number 2 pick in the draft going to the Washington Commanders at 3-14.
Okay, I could see that.
Then I have the New York Giants, and this is kind of a surprise. I have the Giants above 500 some fucking how at 9-8.
Gotcha.
Then I have the Dallas Cowboys at 11-6,
Okay,
and Dallas would be my 5 seed.
gotcha.
And I have the Philadelphia Eagles winning the division at 15-2.
Okay. And so do they take the one?
And they take the 1 seed in the um,
NFC.
NFC.
Um, I don't think we're that far off on any of these, to be honest. So at the top, I've got Philly at 14-3, and I've got them getting my 2 seed. Then I've got Dallas at 10-7, getting my 7 seed. After that, I got the Giants at 7-10, and I've got Washington at 1-16. And so, we're only 1 or 2 games off on each of these teams here.
Yeah, and I could see Washington going 1-16.
Yeah, I mean, it hurt me to do that with Washington because I do believe that they've had an amazing offseason.
Hmm.
I think that for a team that was dog shit, they had like one of the best off seasons that you could have for a team in their position. Um, I just need to see those results on the field because it's great change, which makes it like great unknown, and it's a rookie quarterback. Um, I think they could be a lot better, and they could surprise some people, but it's so hard to predict right now.
Hmm. Exactly, and like it kind of hurt me there. And another one, I want another team later. Like I want them to everything's set up in the. I'll get to them in a second. But
Sure.
Washington, it pains me with the offseason they've had to have them at 3-14.
Yeah.
But I really struggled to have them have 3 wins.
Do you think that that could be a one and done thing for Dan Quinn?
I think it's possible.
I think 3 wins is like, oh my God, because where was Washington last year? They were at 4-13 last year.
Hmm.
Oh man. I mean, it could be really bad for Dan Quinn if he can't beat that 4-win mark. I think because you've got a new ownership group that looks at it more as a business than like a hobby, it could be real tough for him
It
to
could be real
stick
tough.
around. But
Like
he might
the
find a way to get to 5 wins, you know?
so so, but also I think the ownership group would see it as just growing pains because they have a rookie
Yeah,
QB.
rookie quarterback, we got to give him the 1 year to basically set the stage, and then year two is where. I mean, if I'm the ownership group, that's kind of how I look at it, right? It's the NFL's brutal, especially when you have a rookie quarterback. Um, and we've seen enough out of Dan Quinn over the years where it's like, hey, super disciplined guy, the players love him. Obviously, he's a defensive mastermind. Give him a year to get situated and see if it all comes
Yeah,
together.
and I I think where it could go wrong for him is with the ownership group is they'll try to compare him to D'Amico Ryan's last year,
Oh yeah, they
where
want that
rookie
instant
quarter
success.
rookie quarterback, new head coach,
Yep.
instant success, defensive minded coach. Um, that's that's where I could see him being fired on.
Yeah, and what are the odds that Jaden Daniels could have a Stroud-like rookie year? Nobody's had a fucking Stroud-like rookie year.
Mhm. So last year with Houston was an oddity. It's not the norm, and it's not the new norm to
Yeah.
expect.
Yeah, I don't think you can expect any rookie quarterback to have that kind of success.
Yeah, and also to be fair, Houston last year had what the number 2 and number 3 pick in the
Yep.
draft,
Yep.
offense and defense. So it's
Yeah, if you hit them both, you get like a really good jump start.
yeah, and they obviously knocked both of them
Yeah.
as so far right out of the fucking park.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like Washington's prospects long term. I just think that they could have a rough road this year, but I do think they could have tremendous growth this year and could be on the path to being competitive.
Mm, yeah,
All right, so do we want to save the North for the end, my man?
I'll let it be your call.
I say let's just hit it. Let's just
All
go
right,
at it.
did it.
All right,
All right.
take it, bud.
Kind of pisses me off. And it's good that we're hitting it because like it would be obvious when we talked about the other
Okay.
divisions, um, who, what I had going. So I have Chicago at the bottom at 6-11.
Okay.
I actually have Chicago having a good middle of the season, but the start and the end are kind of bad for them. I have them starting 2-6 and finishing 2 and 2-6.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, 2-4, and then finishing 2-5, 2-6. So 2-4 and 2-6. Then I have Green Bay. I have Green Bay going 9-8.
Okay.
And there were some debates on games for Green Bay that I had in here. I have Green Bay making the playoffs as my number 7 seed. I have Minnesota going 10-7 with a rookie quarterback.
Man. All right.
I think they have the right pieces there already for the rookie quarterback to be able to be successful. You just need
Namely the wide receivers.
namely the wide receivers, yes. And they
So
have
what do you have them for your seed? The fifth or something?
I have them
Six,
at
fifth,
6
six. Okay.
because I have Dallas as 5.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah,
Then
could have
I
looked up,
have
I guess. Yeah.
I have the Lions going 13-4.
Okay. All right. So,
And here's the thing about the Lions that's gonna piss you off a little bit. I have the Lions starting 7-0.
ooh, same here. All right.
Then I have them losing back-to-back games.
Same here.
Then I have them winning 6 in a row.
Same here. What the fuck, James?
How the fuck did that happen? Do you have what record do you have them at?
So I've got them at 14-3. So you
I have
must
them
have
losing
Minnesota
the last
beating them in
game.
week 18.
Yeah, because of the fact that with them being 13-3 going into week 18 and they lost to San Francisco, that would eliminate them from contention.
Yeah, so they would be smart to just let it go. I got you.
Yeah, and because I have Philly with a win above with going into week 18 as at with 2
Yeah.
losses, and Phillies, and I have Detroit. I have yeah, who's that third loss against the division team would give Philly. It's just how it played out. I have them resting their guys the last week of the season.
No, I think it makes sense. And I could probably tweak mine down to reflect that. And so and it would do Minnesota some good in my mouth, by the way.
Yeah,
But
and I also have Detroit as the 3 seed.
all right, it's the 3. Good to know. Okay. Yeah, so I've got Detroit at the top going 14-3. Monster year. And I've got them getting the 3 seed. You know me, James. Last year was the first year that I've had them over 500, and they did better than I expected last year. And I'm just gonna ride that hype train. I'm wearing the Kool-Aid shirt. I'm drinking it down. If there's ever a time for me to do it, now's the time. Like, I'm a believer. They finally made me a believer after all the years of me being like, shut the fuck up with your cornbread, your Kool-Aid, because they suck. All right? I believe it. I believe in Dan Campbell and company. And so 14-3, it's steep, but I'm sticking with it for now. Second in the division, I've got Green Bay at 13-4. Early on last year, I would say the first 5, 6 weeks was very speculative about Jordan Love. I thought some of his performances were very flukish. As the season went on, I became a believer, and I think that talent-wise, Green Bay is a very well-built team. And so I've got them at my 5th seed. I think they're going to be a tough team. After that, I've got a huge disappointment for the 2 teams in the NFC North. I've got the Chicago Bears choking it up, going 4-13, which would be, I think people would freak out. I mean, Chicago, where were they? They were at 7-10 last year, caught fire with the defense in the second half of the season. They're expecting Caleb Williams to have instant success. If ever there were to be a rookie quarterback to do it with the weapons he has and everything, it could happen. But I also don't give him the benefit of the doubt until I see him do it on the field. And, this is just where I'm at. Then I go even farther, even more brutal. I've got Minnesota at 1-16. I think they are in for some pain without Kirk Cousins. I think the receivers make it the best possible case scenario for Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy. I also do like what they did on the defense, even though they lost Daniel Hunter. They brought in some good guys on the edge. I just hate Minnesota. And so I'm sure they are going to have me eat some crow at the end of next year because this is a brutally, brutally low record. But I'm pretty sure I was also brutally low on their record last year. So it's just how it's going to be every year with Minnesota, James. I'm just going to say they suck.
Do you have Green Bay making the playoffs?
I do. I have them making the playoffs with the 5 seed.
5, wow.
Well, I had them at 13 wins, man.
I forgot how many wins you had Dallas at. So
yeah, I had Dallas at 10.
Yeah, I blanked on what your records for Dallas and who knows, maybe you had like the Rams or Seattle with like 15 wins
Anything could happen, right?
or
So,
14 wins as opposed to 13.
all right, take us to the south. And while you're doing that, I'm going to grab a beer, but go ahead.
All right. So my disappointment in the South is I couldn't get the team that I keep telling you is going to make the playoffs and has a chance of winning the division into the playoffs. I just couldn't see it. I see where the games could switch on them that would flip this division on its head. I have Atlanta with the easiest schedule in the league this year, with Kirk Cousins at 4-13.
Whoa.
Reason I have them at 4-13 is there's too many distractions with them drafting the quarterback in the top.
I mean, I could see some of that, the distraction stuff, but that still seems like crazy harsh, right? Although new head coach, the defense kind of sucks. Sorry about
New
that.
Orleans at 7-10. I was kind of surprised it wound up with 7 wins for New Orleans. I do have them with a couple of surprise wins, and one of them, like I have them beating Dallas in week 2, but that's also because Dallas is starting the season with Cleveland and Baltimore and New Orleans in the middle.
Okay.
Then I have Carolina, and I see the stretch where this could flip the season for them, but it's a pretty rough stretch where they play Kansas City, Tampa Bay, at Philly, Dallas.
Yeah, that could hurt. Yeah.
I have Carolina at 8-9. If one of those games in that stretch flips, because of how that stretch is, I have them losing 6 in a row there.
Okay.
And so but I could see like the Arizona game. If the Arizona game flips to a win, then Carolina makes the playoffs.
Gotcha.
Winning the division and getting the 4th seed in the NFC, I have Tampa Bay at 11-6, and I hate picking Tampa Bay to go 11-6. But really, honestly, when you look at their schedule, they have 6 or 7 6 hard games and 11 easy games.
Okay.
Like Washington, Denver. I mean, their division.
Yeah, that helps. Yeah.
The Giants, the Raiders, the Chargers.
Oh, not in my. I think the Chargers are going to be good, but yeah, I hear
Well,
you.
I have them losing to the Chargers, but
Okay.
but
All
like
right.
I have I have them losing to Dallas, the Chargers, San Francisco, Kansas City, Baltimore, and Detroit. I have them surprising Philadelphia because I think Philadelphia is
Yeah, because any given Sunday, right?
well, it's at home against Philadelphia, and Tampa Bay plays really good at home.
Gotcha.
Um, hey, it's my predictions. I'll do what the fuck I want with them.
Yeah, it's super early. You're allowed to do whatever you want, right? I'm good with that. So for me, I've got Atlanta at the top at 9-8, and I've got them getting the 4 seed. And so last year Atlanta was 7-10. I think Cousins will get them at least a couple more wins. They get to 9-8. They sneak into the playoffs. Then I've got the Saints at 7-10, and Tampa Bay at 7-10. I like what Mayfield did with the Bucks last year. I'm just not a believer in him and Todd Bowles. I think that some of it was sort of like the right circumstances at the right time. And even then, they only won 9 games. So this has them coming back 2 games. And then at the bottom, I've got the Panthers at 4-13. They did only win 2 games last year. And I think that Bryce Young could have a lot of improvement and change where their path is going. But I think they've got a dysfunctional owner, man. And I think that they had a very weird kind of like misguided offseason, in my opinion. They lost more talent than they brought in, which means Bryce Young has to be even that much more better just to get them more than the 2 additional wins that I'm putting into my record prediction here. So I've got Atlanta getting the 4 seed. The rest of these guys kind of sucking it up. This ends up basically being, you know, I guess that's like kind of my crappiest division is the way you could put it. So yeah, and so that takes us to the last division here, which is the NFC West. What do you see going on here, bud?
All right. I have a good team and a bunch of bunched up teams in this division.
Okay.
So I have San Francisco, who gets my 2 seed at 14-3.
Okay.
Then I have the Rams at 9-8. And
Okay.
part of the reason why I had the Rams at 9-8 is because they have the certain games they always win, and they have a few easy games in their schedule, like New England, Arizona, or Chicago early in the season, the Raiders, stuff like that.
Yeah, give Stafford those NFC North teams that he knows so well.
Yeah, I have Arizona at 8-9 as the number 3, as the 3 in the division on a tiebreaker, because I have Seattle also at 8-9.
Okay.
From that, I have only San Francisco. From the West, I only have San Francisco winning or making the
Getting the
playoffs.
playoffs, yeah.
The Rams miss out on a tiebreaker against Green Bay.
Gotcha. Okay. So we've got the order the same, but we've got the records a little different here. So I've got San Fran at 15-2, a steep one, kind of like Kansas City. Then I've got the Rams at 11-6. They did win 10 games last year. I think they can be better this year. Then I've got Arizona and Seattle at the bottom, both at 7-10. And I do think Arizona could be the surprise team in this division. So they were
Mm-hmm.
4-13 last year. They're going to have a healthy Kyler Murray, another year with their coach. I think that they could be a team that like really grinds out even a few more than just that. But let's wait and see. Basically, right now, 7-10 is where I see it, and
Yeah.
I reserve the right to change it. So
I'll give you that, but they do have 1, 2, well, not counting the Rams, 1, 2, not counting the 49ers, 3 of their divisional games. So counting their division, 7 of their 17 games are against playoff teams from last year.
yeah, that's gonna be tough. I got you.
No, wait, did Green Bay make the playoffs last year?
Yes.
8 of their 17 games.
Okay. All right. All right, well, James, that gets us through the preseason record predictions. Now, usually for question of the week, I ask you who you think is going to win the Super Bowl.
Before we go there, I missed your 6th seed in the NFC.
Oh, my 6th seed, let's take a peek here. My 6th seed is the Rams.
Okay.
So, yeah, I had the 49ers getting the 1 and the Rams getting the 6. All right, so we'll do our playoff bracket as our question of the week because the question is going to be who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? So
Okay.
let's walk it through, man. Give me your AFC and then give me your NFC.
All right. So in the first round, and I was telling you before the show, I was really annoyed because I have a lot of divisional games in the AFC. I also have a lot of repeat games from the season in the playoffs.
Okay.
So I have Pittsburgh over Baltimore, Buffalo over Miami, and Cincinnati over Houston in the first round.
And then
With
you said Cincinnati over Houston.
yes. In the second round, I have Buffalo winning at Arrowhead,
Okay,
and then I have Pittsburgh over Cincinnati.
gotcha.
And the AFC Championship game, I really struggled with this, and because I think this is a fairly good matchup with what's going into the season. It could be flipped. It could be Pittsburgh is the 6 and Buffalo's the 2. It could be Buffalo the 6 and Buffalo 6, Pittsburgh 2. How I have it, I have Buffalo as the 6th seed in the AFC making the Super Bowl.
Okay. All right. Let me pause you there, and I'll give you my AFC, and then we'll each do the NFC, and then we'll pick our Super Bowl winner. Sound good?
Okay.
All right. So starting off, I've got Houston over Buffalo. Then I've got Baltimore over the Chargers. And I've got Cincinnati over the Jets. Going to the next round, I've got Kansas City over Cincinnati and Baltimore over Houston. And then going beyond that, I've got Baltimore finally getting over the hump and getting to the Super Bowl. So I've got them beating Kansas City. And I think, by the way, I think it's going to be on the back of the defense. I think Lamar does just enough, but defensively, that will be the difference maker for Baltimore this year.
So we have two teams making over the hump. Buffalo. I have Buffalo making over the hump and making it to the Super Bowl. You have Baltimore. That's interesting.
It is, yeah. And it's super early. A lot can change, but, I like to, shake it up when I can, right? And once I got the model, it's going to be hard to go against like Kansas City when the model's like, oh, they're the fucking best team and whatever. So,
Yeah.
but for now, I want to go in a different direction.
All right.
So give me your NFC.
So in the first round, I have San Francisco over Green Bay.
Okay.
Detroit over Minnesota.
Okay.
And Tampa Bay over Dallas.
Okay.
So basically chalk. Then I have Philadelphia in the second round, Philadelphia beating Tampa Bay. And my first upset in the NFC, I have Detroit beating San Francisco.
Nice.
In the NFC Championship game, I have my next upset of the NFC with Detroit beating Philadelphia.
Okay. All right. And here, let me just do a quick adjustment on my spreadsheet here. Okay. Let's see if I can do this in a way where I keep us organized for when we come back and look at this later. All right. So then for me in the NFC here, James, I've got Philly over Dallas. Then I've got Detroit over the Rams. I've got Green Bay beating Atlanta. Go to the next round. I've got I have Green Bay upsetting the 49ers. I have Detroit beating Philly. And then I have in the NFC Championship game, Detroit beating Green Bay going to the Super Bowl.
I absolutely hate your NFC Championship game. And the reason I hate your NFC Championship game is because Green Bay is going to be cheap-ass fucks and try to do whatever they can to prevent the Lions within or without or outside the rules to prevent the Lions from making the Super Bowl?
And I've got the Lions persevering, James.
Ugh,
That's the important part. They
yes.
persevere because they got that fucking Dan Campbell grit, man. All right, so then Super Bowl winner. You've got Buffalo against Detroit. Where are you going here, my man?
I go back and forth on this.
Do you want to drink the Kool-Aid and just say it now? Or do you want to have a little bit of humility and kind of hedge your bet? What are you thinking?
All right, so here is exactly what happened as I was writing this out. I started writing Detroit over Buffalo, and I started writing it, and I couldn't type. Like I just couldn't fucking type.
The universe was telling you, no, now is not
So
the time.
then I did Buffalo over Detroit,
And you got
and
a bad feeling in your pit of your
I
stomach because
look
you're like,
at it,
damn it, I'm
look
a
at it
traitor.
exactly, and then I settled on Detroit over Buffalo. Um,
Yeah, it's hard to say it, right? Because you don't want to jinx them and you feel weird because they've sucked forever, right?
yeah, because they sucked forever. They never made the Super Bowl. Um, and the thing with it is like it's just it's so if the Lions make the Super Bowl, the fans will be disappointed if they don't win because wow, the drought's over. We made the fucking Super Bowl. We haven't, we're about to win our first championship since 1957.
Yeah.
Um, but it's the same on the Buffalo side. I think
Oh yeah,
whoever
Buffalo
loses,
snake bitten hard. Yeah,
I think who if it is a Detroit Buffalo Super Bowl, whoever loses the game,
it'll
it's
be the
gonna
biggest heartbreaker.
it'll be the biggest heartbreaker for Buffalo. It'll be om- almost as bad as 13 seconds.
Yeah.
It'll be worse than wide right.
Yeah, because they lost what, 4 Super Bowls?
They lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. The first one they lost was the Norwood wide right.
Yeah. If they get there and lose another one, man, that's horrible. But here's the thing. So on my side of the fence, I've got Detroit beating Baltimore. And I think in either of our predictions, you have Detroit playing against a team, whether it's Buffalo or Baltimore, a team that has had issues sort of like shooting themselves in the foot in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that anything can happen in either of those matchups if they came to fruition. And so I think that Detroit showed last year that they are a highly, highly disciplined team under Dan Campbell, even though they are super aggressive. They get it done when the number's called. And so, um, I got to ride the high, man. I mean, who knows? They could fall apart and then I could fall into depression and never come back from it, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, if you're ever going to pick Detroit, now's the time to pick them, man.
No, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they just, it's the best case scenario for them. They're bringing back the coordinator on offense. They're bringing back all the core guys on the team. I mean, they were so close. I think that they were ahead of schedule last year, and that makes me a little bit nervous. But man, I just, I got to believe it's been a long time.
Yeah. I I
We're both going to believe.
yeah, and my concern is exactly what you said. Am I just drinking the Kool-Aid? And
Yeah, we might be. We might be. But here's the difference, though, James. I'll tell you this, okay? We might be drinking a little bit of Kool-Aid with like a shot of vodka in it because, we like to do that. But we're not like we're not drinking the Kool-Aid and eating the cornbread and going crazy like we did in past years where people would be like, they're making the playoffs and then they'd win like 3 fucking games, right? We're not doing that shit. We're saying, hey man, They made the fucking NFC Championship game last year, and we think they're gonna be better. All they gotta be is like 1.5 games better than that, and they win it. And so it's like I just think that we're not that crazy to finally get on board with it, James.
No, I hear you.
Yeah, it's just abnormal.
It's especially with the Lions. I try to temper my excitement with them because I don't because like I want that pleasant surprise and not have that
The huge
fuck
letdown.
disappointment, the huge
Yeah.
letdown. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
because it could be like week 6 and Goff is out for the year, and then we're just like, fucking whatever. It doesn't even matter now, right? So,
well, that's when you turn to Hendon Hooker and say, "All right,
yeah,
why we drafted you? Show us."
yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna have faith, man. I'm gonna have faith. I like the regime. I liked them going into last year, and last year it made me nervous because everybody else was liking them, and it
Hmm.
was like, oh man, that's weird because like you normally get the Detroit crowd that's always just they're gonna be good no matter what. Uh, but you get like the realists like kind of us that are like, no, 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 no. Hedge your bet. This isn't the year. They're rebuilding, blah, 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 blah. Last year we were both like, no, this is going to be a good year for them. But people outside of our market were saying the same thing too. And that's what made me nervous because I was like, wait a minute, like why are other people getting on board with the Lions here? That's a rare kind of change of tune. And so it
Yeah,
ended up
that
being right. It ended up being right.
and we talked about it last year how the concern with the Lions was everybody and their brother was jumping on the
Yeah.
bandwagon, and not outside of Detroit and inside of Detroit, even like the pessimists inside of Detroit were jumping on it, like everybody was. And that was concerning because, well, if everybody's jumping on them,
Yeah, time to zig when they zag.
yeah. But hey, they should have made the fucking Super Bowl. If they had a kicker that was worth his shit, they would have.
Yeah, they had anything that could go wrong went wrong in that second half, man. It sucked.
Hmm.
Drop passes, freak fucking, defensive miss on the coverage. The kicking thing was weird. I mean, it just everything that could have went against us went against us.
Exactly. Which makes me think that they will be hungrier this year
Yeah,
because they look at it and like, man, fuck, we really like the players that were on the
yeah.
team last year. Obviously,
They
man,
gotta
fuck,
stay
we
focused.
really could have made the fucking Super Bowl last year, but we completely this went right, that went right. Let's take it out of this what if hands and just
Yeah,
fucking do it.
yeah. Stay focused. Make it happen, man. It can happen, dude. It can happen. Fingers crossed, toes, everything, whatever you're gonna cross. I'm having faith, and if it doesn't work out, it's okay. I just hope they make us proud no matter what happens, right?
Hmm. Exactly.
All right, man. Well, hey, that's everything I got. You got any closing thoughts here? Any tangents you want to run on?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, hey, for anybody who's watching, this is it. The super early team record predictions. You heard it here first. We're going all in on the Lions. Maybe we both hedge our bet when we do our preseason rankings and predictions, and because at that point we'll have way more information. We'll be able to digest all of these training camps and everything and see what went on in the preseason. And, that's our final chance to say, okay, move this guy here, move that guy there, blah, 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 blah. But for tonight, this is where we're at. And yeah, if you haven't already, thumbs up us, subscribe to the show. I don't know if I've been asking that lately, but the numbers are dwindling, guys. They're fucking dwindling. So come on. And that's it. So, James, my man, I'll catch you later, bud.
All right, sounds good. Have a good one.
All right, see ya.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut hut hike.